Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're diving back into the world of the monsterverse. Now, for those that are remotely familiar with my channel, you will know that I used to cover the monsterverse extensively on the lead up to Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then obviously since its release some things have died down a little bit. But we recently got word that Godzilla vs. Kong was being delayed, and as such, I thought I'd give you all a bit of a boost and entice you back with some kaiju stories or explored videos. Now, on the lead up to Godzilla King of the Monsters, there was a graphic novel released. Now, this was a prequel to Godzilla King of the Monsters, but it was also a sequel to 2014's Godzilla. It was dubbed Godzilla Aftershock, it's a tie-in, actually. The name relates to very specific story details. Now, in this graphic novel, we are introduced to a few things. It expands out the mythos quite extensively. We see another of Godzilla's species, Dagon or Dagon, and we also learn what the skeleton was in the Philippines in 2014's Godzilla. And we also learn exactly where the Mutos came from. Now, in today's video, I am going to be covering Dagon, who was also dubbed 5146-Adam. It was a member of Godzilla's species, a very much weaker version to Godzilla. Now, we can see that very plainly in the graphic novel itself and how the story progresses and how Godzilla tackles the Muto Prime, which is what Dagon faces off against, as opposed to how Dagon faces off against Muto Prime. It's also interesting because it really does tell us that Godzilla was or is the king of the monsters, even amongst his own kind, which is staggering, really, but it's, I guess, no surprise either. Now, others that have been on my channel for any remote period of time will be familiar with my H.P. Lovecraft videos, and you will remember the name Dagon, which is a H.P. Lovecraft inspired name, or similar anyway. Dagon is a creature, a Godzilla species, which is named after the Canaanite fertility and agricultural god, commonly thought to be an ocean god because, of course, H.P. Lovecraft, Dagon, and the Deep Ones. Now, in design, Dagon appears very much the same as Godzilla. There's not an awful lot of difference there. He has large, jagged dorsal plates, dark, coarse skin, yellow eyes, gills, wide feet, a robust head, and short forearms. But of course, interestingly, when we look at Godzilla in 2014 versus Dagon, and then the later appearance of Godzilla in King of the Monsters, Dagon looks similar to how Godzilla evolves further down the line, i.e. with the very large, jaggedy dorsal plates. Now, personality-wise, Dagon is not seen with much personality, not even remotely. However, it does appear that he had a somewhat tolerance for humans, because they are allowed to get close to him somewhat when he spotted Muto Prime, which is obviously the arch rival of the Godzilla species. He immediately engaged Muto Prime, of course in hopes of killing her, not in hopes of protecting the humans. Now, when we look at Dagon and Muto Prime, it's thought that Muto Prime is actually one of the reasons the Godzilla species was wiped out. And if Godzilla is an outlier among his own species and Dagon is a very baseline strength level for the Godzilla species, it's very easy to see that Muto Prime quite literally decimated the Godzilla species. And not only that, it would have been the other Muto Primes that no doubt would have been there as well. Now, in Godzilla Aftershock, Dagon encounters and fights the Muto Prime being the progenitor to the Mutos, a parasitic life form. Now, obviously, this is a very brief fight. Dagon is beaten to the brink of death, but not killed just yet, and then Muto Prime then proceeds to implant her eggs into Dagon's stomach lining. Now, of course, the eggs would go on to feed off of Dagon's nuclear-rich blood while he still lived, albeit not particularly alive anyway, and then the Mutos eventually killed him. And it is Dagon's skeleton which would then be seen in the mine collapse in the Philippines, and the remains of the eggs which were laid inside him as well. And interestingly enough, when you take a look at the skeleton in the film, it does appear to be more of a serpentine skeleton of some sort, but obviously this is a retrofit, a sort of a retcon into the universe. But this is one which I can forgive because it really is a very, very good retcon, and I think it works. I also think it's a fantastic way to expand the universe outwards. Now, Dagon's abilities are essentially just jaws, claws, tail, strength and weight, his armor, a brief atomic breath, but he was not on the same level as Godzilla. Godzilla is far and above, absolutely far and above. And it is interesting to see the difference between the two. Now, in terms of the height and weight and size overall, the height of Dagon was thought to be 355 feet, length 550 feet with 4 inches, and the weight is about 90 tons. Which, when we compare it to Godzilla in Godzilla King of the Monsters, because that's the most recent iteration, Godzilla's not that much bigger. Godzilla in height is only 393 feet, length is only 582, and the weight is only 99.6 thousand tons. So there's not an awful lot of difference between them. And in fact, even when we compare the original 2014's design and size and weight, etc., they remained about the same. So obviously between all of these fights, and since Godzilla then tackled down the Muto Prime and obviously bested the beast and avoided extinction, he clearly evolved or took a form of an evolutionary step. So there you have it, there you go. That is Dagon explored. I wouldn't say necessarily explained, because of course it's not something which can really be explained specifically, because we don't have that much information about Dagon. But like I said, I will say it's, as a retcon, it's a fantastic retcon. And the Godzilla Aftershock novel and the graphic novel was actually a really good piece of extracurricular reading. It's one of those things where, a lot of people say they don't really like outside media to be influential in the films, and I'm one of those people. I've said it time and time again. If I have to read a book or extra material to understand your film, you have failed at making a good film. However, Godzilla Aftershock is not essential reading. Muto Prime, of course, a creature which is destroyed in Godzilla Aftershock, is not seen again, but it is a fantastic way just to expand it outwards just a little bit. It explains why we saw that skeleton, and it also, I guess, explains for those fans of the monsterverse why we don't see other Godzillas roaming around. Now, outside of this, I will just say it is a bit of a waste of Muto Prime. It's a creature which I think could have been reused further down the line. And it is, like I said, a little bit of a waste, because it could have been a really, really good iteration into the monsterverse further down the line. But look, we don't know what's going to be coming in Godzilla vs. Kong, and obviously the disturbance which is felt and seen and heard over on Kong Skull Island. So there you go. I thought I'd bring you this video. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you are new here, make sure you do hit subscribe, and you can stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Also, stay tuned. In the next few days, I will be releasing my festive advent calendar merch, which is just 24, 25 windows of your various favorite pop culture icons. It's just a little bit of fun for the festive season, which I think you really will like. Also, please do not fear that Godzilla vs. Kong has been delayed. I highly doubt that it's going to be a particularly bad reason for its delay. And in fact, D-Man made a very, very good argument against having a mass hysteria for the delay. So please do go check out D-Man's channel as well, because he really did convey a fantastic argument. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I have been Mr. H. Take care.